Welcome to Why We're Fans. I'm Duran, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Gennaro.
In all of our episodes, we cover the past, present, and the future of all your favorite NFL football teams.
We love hearing your stories, talking the NFL draft, and reminiscing about the good old days.
If you like the same, be sure to subscribe to this channel and like this episode. And leave a comment below if you want to answer any of our questions.
Follow us on Twitter to stay up to date on our latest interviews. And like we always say, win or lose, we're all fans. Enjoy this episode.
Welcome to another episode of Why We're Fans. Duran, how are you doing today?
Good. It's a Friday and we're talking football. It's a win-win.
Oh, yeah. It's feeling good on this Friday for sure. Myself, I'm Gennaro Munez, and like I said, that's Duran Munez. Duran, you sipping on anything special today?
I am. Got some diamond puddles. It's probably hard to see, but from local brewery out here, Cooperage, one of my favorites, an IPA. So, like I said, it's Friday. I'm digging in.
I'm drinking on some Bodega Head out here, 3rd Street. Another one from Santa Rosa. Started off. Cheers.
Cheers, man.
But all right. So let's bring in our guest, man. He's been patiently waiting. He's decked out in his black and yellow. I don't want to go ahead and wrap it like Wiz Khalifa. I can't do that. But all right, he's a moderator for the NFL subreddit page. We got Mr. Jon Patrick. John, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing good. I'm doing great. It's Friday. Finally done for the week. I can wrap it up.
Hell yeah, man. Hey, John, who you going for in the Super Bowl?
That's really a tough call. I live over by Tampa now. Most people who are Steelers fans don't necessarily live in Pittsburgh anymore. They may have at one point in time, but I'm kind of pulling for the Bucks. But boy, does it feel dirty rooting for Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
All of the years of abuse we put up from there.
You can always pull the angle that Bruce was your guys' ex-coach, man. So I think you're golden there.
But he almost got Ben killed. I don't know how many years in a row.
Man,
Yeah.
Ben, he's like a walking zombie at this point, man. He's Frankenstein out there. I don't know how many times he's been put together, man.
If you look back at it during Arian's time when he was offensive coordinator for us, I think Ben had 4 seasons where he got sacked at least 40 times and once where I think he broke 50.
Jesus.
So the fact that he's still walking around is actually pretty impressive. But I mean, he'd miss a couple weeks here and there because he'd have an MCL tear or, an MCL sprain or.
Jesus.
Yeah. There's that classic picture of him with like an ice pack on every limb.
The walking boot.
Yeah.
That's
The walking boot.
thing.
Yeah.
That's just his regular shoes at this point.
Exactly.
It's the Big Ben. We all heard of the Jordans. It's the Big Ben. If you're walking in a boot. That's funny.
Hey, is there anything related to the Super Bowl going on there, or is it all shut down? Do they have like a Super Bowl city or anything like that set up?
I have not seen much. I do know that they're offering, I'm sure you saw that they're offering the healthcare workers who've been vaccinated to go to the Super Bowl. And I know several people that are doing that actually, that work at the big hospital in Tampa.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, shout out to the first responders and all the healthcare workers, man. That's awesome, man. So good.
Yeah. My wife's a nurse, but she didn't put in for the lottery.
Oh, it's all good.
She is vaccinated, but she didn't want to go.
Yeah.
Hey, man. I just got my first shot the other day, man. So.
No, I hear the set. I hear. She had a mild reaction to the second one, but nothing bad. It knocks you on your butt. But honestly, I've heard that some people, the first one, it knocks them on their butt. So.
Yeah, well, she's a nurse. I'm pretty sure she's badass. So I'm pretty sure she's good now. So.
Yep.
All right, man. All right. Well, let's see here. We have a couple questions for you if you're ready to get into it.
Yeah, hit me.
All right, man. Sit back. Get ready. All right, Duran, go and kick it off, man. No pun intended. This is a football kind of podcast, but let's go and kick it off.
You got it, man. Well, we know you're in Florida right now and you're a Steelers fan. How did it all start? How did you end up being a Steelers fan in Florida?
Well, I started being a Steelers fan. I used to live up north of Pittsburgh, so I lived in Pennsylvania. I still got family up there and everything. In 1994, I remember watching the Steelers as with Neil O'Donnell at the helm, and they were starting to kind of come back. This new dude, Bill Cowher, had taken over, and he'd led us into the playoffs a couple times, and we were looking to run deep into the playoffs this time, and we were coming up on the conference championship game versus the Chargers. And I don't know whose idea it was, but supposedly they booked their tickets at the hotel for the Super Bowl before they played the AFC Championship game. And if you're running this through your head, for Super Bowl 29, the Steelers lost to the Chargers.
Yeah.
In the AFC Championship game. And the Chargers went on to go get murdered by some dude named Steve Young, who led the 49ers and Jerry Rice all up and down the Chargers. And that was how it got started for me. That was the first season. I was 7 for that.
A tough. So what was it? They didn't have a hotel to stay in or something?
No. They booked their tickets. Oh. They jinxed themselves.
Oh, okay.
They booked their tickets before they even won the AFC Championship game.
Yeah.
They're looking past the Chargers, and it kind of bit them in the ass.
Doesn't that sound familiar now? That seems something we do every other year.
Yeah. Every year. Yeah, I'm looking at that game right now, 13-17. It was a close one.
Wow.
Chargers squeaked that one out.
Was that Bill Cowher? You said that was his first year?
No, it wasn't his first year. I think it was like his second or third year. I want to say we went into the playoffs the year before that as well, but the team was kind of meshing. The 90s defense that really took over had started to come together as a unit. I don't remember if we had Rod Woodson yet then or not.
You did have Rod Woodson. He was they have him listed as the best player on the team that year, and this is a Pro Football Reference, and it was Bill Cowher's third year. So
okay, that sounds right. He made the playoffs like his first, I think first, second, third, like 6, 8 seasons in a row to start.
Yep, first 6. Yeah, including one Super Bowl appearance where they didn't win. But man, we'll get into coaches in a little bit, but I love the history of all of your guys' coaches and things like that. But back to how it all started. Are you the first generation? Did you of Steelers fan? Was your dad? Was your grandpa? Anything?
My dad was a Steelers fan. My dad was actually at a cousin's house back in the 70s, and they were I think they were fixing the house up, and they were watching this random playoff game between the Steelers and the Raiders, and it was basically over, and they'd pretty much given up on it, and they were trying to hang a ceiling fan. And Terry Bradshaw lobs this kind of last ditch effort pass down the field, and it bounces off some guy, and Franco Harris picks it up before it hits the ground and runs it in for a touchdown, and they broke a ceiling fan. To that effect, light fixture, ceiling fan.
Yeah, man, it's worth it. I always loved that play for sure, and then I like how they reenacted it at the last year's Super Bowl. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah,
I didn't know that they reenacted it.
Yeah, they did that where they're all in that ballroom, and Marshawn goes for the cake, and then I think Jalen Ramsey tips it off of like a Peyton Manning's pass. Then Franco catches it off there.
Okay. Jalen would have picked it.
Jalen probably would have picked it.
Yeah. So have you taken over as the biggest Steelers fan in your family?
No, I'd say it's about the same. Me and my dad. My mom is actually a pretty big Steelers fan too.
Nice.
I'll never forget watching Super Bowl 43 after the Cardinals started to make a comeback, and they were driving down the field. And Warner hit that deep pass across the middle to Fitzgerald, and he just outran Polamalu. She was in the kitchen. We were at a friend's house, and another Steelers fan who lives near Tampa. And this blood-curdling scream from the kitchen. I was like, oh!
Nice. Thinking that she burnt herself, but she's really just pissed off about that.
Yeah, exactly. Are you okay? Yeah. No, I'm not.
They just fucking scored. I'm not okay.
So it sounds like you found some other Steelers fans down there in Florida. Is there someone that you watch the games with like every week?
Well, not every week. We used to have a friend that actually lived down the street from us. He's passed away a few years ago. We actually watched a few Super Bowls at his house, even the ones that didn't have Pittsburgh in it. And there are so many Steelers fans down here. I mean, back in 2011, when the Steelers came to Tampa, I think it was the year that we went to the Super Bowl and lost to the Packers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that was the year it was. But at any rate, my wife got me tickets for the game. And so we went and watched the game, and we were there, and we were up 3 scores at halftime. And then we scored again coming into the beginning of the third quarter. I remember sitting in Raymond James Stadium hearing all of the Steelers fans singing "Na na na na, hey hey, goodbye" as the Bucks fans filed out stadium style.
Yeah,
literally. It's a little different this year because of the shoes on the other foot.
Yeah, exactly. Do you remember the first game that you ever attended?
Yes. I don't remember what year it was in. I want to say it was 96 or 97, but it was in Three River Stadium prior to its demolition.
Yep.
And it was Jacksonville. It was one of the years that we went like 7-9 or 6-10, and it didn't matter what happened. If Pittsburgh played Jacksonville in Pittsburgh, because we were in the Central Division then, they all were.
Yeah.
We beat Jacksonville. But if it was in Jacksonville, they could be like a 3-13 team and they'd beat us. We'd be one of those 3 wins.
Have you passed down your fandom to your kids and possibly shared it with your wife?
I'm doing my best. I got 2 little girls, and they're moderately-ish interested in football at best.
Oh, you just got to wave that terrible towel. I think they'll get a hold of it.
Oh yeah, no, they have their Steelers gear. Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, I'm not stupid. They're decked out."
Yeah. We've got cheerleading outfits. They've got towels. We've got towels. I've got a little foam brick. I don't have it with me, but that I can use to cheaper than a real brick.
There you go. So, I know you mentioned that you used to watch the games here and there at an old friend's house, but is there like a game day tradition that you do have?
Well, a few years ago, there's a thread that I think we're going to put it up soon on the NFL subreddit regarding Super Bowl recipes. I've got to look at my schedule to see where we're at on it, but I picked up a dish from that, and I always make this super decked out cream cheese sriracha dip.
Oh, okay.
But
I'll keep my eye open for that one.
We typically we just watch it over my parents because my wife isn't much of a football fan outside of the fact that I'm a football fan.
Yeah.
And her family, they're the Bucks, and so
okay.
go to my parents on Sunday to watch the game there.
It's all good, man. That's awesome.
So now it's finally their turn.
Yeah. Speaking of Super Bowl, my wife just texted me and told me that I think there's about 2,400 employees from Tampa General. That's the big hospital in Tampa going to the Super Bowl.
Oh, wow. Right. That's awesome.
Yeah. That's great. Well, I see you're wearing your TJ Watt jersey. Do you remember the first jersey that you ever had?
Rod Woodson, actually.
Hey. Rod Woodson.
I still have it.
I still
have that one.
Does it still fit?
Actually, it does. Honestly, and I don't even know how I really came across that one. I mean, I must have been 12 or 13 when I got that one. We were down in Florida by that time. That's how a Steelers fan lives in Florida, is that your parents move in 1999.
Yeah.
And you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
So Rod Woodson, he was out of Purdue, wasn't he? Or Colorado? He's out of Colorado.
I think it was Colorado.
Yeah.
Hang on.
No, Purdue's true.
I see Purdue right here.
Was it Purdue?
Yeah. Rod Woodson.
I knew it was like a black and gold team.
Roderick Woodson. Yeah. Definitely Hall of Famer. That's a good jersey to have. It's crazy that you still have it. Do any of the kids wear it or anything like that? Will it fit them?
I have had them in a couple of jerseys, but I think they've actually outgrown them at this point. I've got several. I have I've got the Rod Woodson one. Of course, I have a Ben Roethlisberger jersey. I mean, he's been around forever. Who didn't have one of those at one point in time or another? I've got a Super Bowl 43 Troy Polamalu jersey.
Nice.
Love it.
And I actually have a second Rod Woodson jersey. I think it's a newer one. It's a legacy one. But then TJ Watt, oh man, is he fun to watch.
Yep.
Oh my God.
I mean, you can't block him without holding them.
Mm-hmm.
Funny story about that. Me and Duran, we always look at prospects during the draft, and I remember he was pounding the table for the Cowboys to grab him, and they ended up taking Taco Charlton. And remember, he was like, "Fuck, I'm so pissed off." And as soon as you guys grabbed him, I'm like, "Damn, that defense is gonna be scary with them." And
It was about time. For a couple years, we had a real rough defense. Ben was lighting the fires, throwing near 5,000 or over 5,000 yards, but couldn't stop anyone.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, a little bit off topic here. I'm sorry, but do you think that he's better than his brother, JJ, not Derek? I think he's more versatile. I'm gonna say he's more versatile.
He is on the way to being there.
Yeah.
You can't argue with 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you just can't. So if TJ Watt retired tomorrow, no, I would say he's not as good as JJ Watt. If TJ Watt keeps up doing what it can maintain this level of performance, I'd say he's better.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a high bar, but
yeah, I totally
Definitely
agree
is.
with it.
I have
Though.
some more JJ Watt questions later, but go ahead.
One question that I always ask, and I think this one's obvious, but you might surprise us. Your division, who do you think's the biggest rival in your division? Ravens?
yeah.
Yeah, of course.
It was different. It was a different story this year, though.
Mm-hmm.
I would say the biggest threat in the division is probably the Browns right now. I mean, I know that kind of goes without saying. The Ravens seem to have hit a little bit of a sophomore slump with Lamar, although I know I think it's his 3rd year, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think what happens with that, I think they kind of expose him a little bit. They know that they can't really, he's not very accurate. So
I think it was also they got rid of his tight end. So the 2 tight end, 3 tight end stuff that they're running his second year is what really set him up for success. And once who was it, Hayden Hurst left, it kind of did expose him a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the Ravens are definitely my biggest rival from the other division. I won't watch the movie The Blind Side because I know it has a sad ending.
Yeah.
I don't need to go there.
Yeah. That's funny. Well, you do have the Browns in the division where, you know, they've been the slums of the NFL for a long time, but they are on the rise. So I wasn't sure if that was going to be the surprise answer or not.
It's definitely. I mean, you almost feel bad for them, except they wiped the floor with us in the playoffs this year. So I mean, I can't even say that anymore.
Yep. And now also got Cincinnati in their division, who could be on the rise. We'll see if their quarterback comes back 100% and gets back on that horse and keeps passing the ball.
Yeah, I would say the AFC North could be a real dangerous division to watch.
Mm-hmm.
It's always known to be like a tough, gritty, old school.
Yep.
You know, like I feel like Dan Campbell should be the head honcho for that division. But it always seems like that type of division. It's just that's always a team that will punch you in the mouth. They always have tough defenses and just, you know, being super dynamic when it comes to just like running the ball. And especially with Stefanski there, and with the Browns, I know it's a little bit tougher, but man, you guys are always in it. You guys can never count yourselves out of it. I mean, I know, like famous saying with Juju, you know, I don't want the Juju beast to come after me, but you know, Browns would be the Browns. But yeah, man. But you guys are always just so tough. Like you guys are, you know, still curtain. You know what I mean? Like shit.
Steelers have only had 2 losing seasons since 1992.
Yeah. Oh wow, what a stat!
So yeah, Ben Roethlisberger has never had a losing season.
Wow. Same with Tomlin.
Huh?
Same with Tomlin.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Roethlisberger took over in 04 when Maddox, I believe, got hurt. It was either Maddox or Tom Zach. I think Tom Zach was 90s. Maddox was 04.
Yeah, I think it was Maddox.
And he has not. We've had a couple 8-8 seasons. There was the one back in 2014 really killed me because if there was, I think it was the Chargers playing the Chiefs. If they'd have gotten a call right at the end of that game, it would actually have put us in the playoffs. And we went 6-2 down the stretch that year. It was a really terrible start to the season. We started 0-4, but they came back and they really got it together. It was a bummer to miss out.
Definitely.
Sorry about that.
I see that right here. 2003 was Maddox. 2004 was Roethlisberger. So it was right on that cusp there. And man, we'll get to it in a little bit, but all these running backs that have been running through your system is pretty impressive as well. Got that. So
there's a Fuamatu Ma'afala.
Who is that? One more time.
Fuamatu Ma'afala. You think Polamalu is a hard name to say?
Yeah. What position did he play? I don't remember him.
He was a running back.
Okay.
Yeah, he was like 03 to 06 or something.
I don't remember. You remember him?
Wasn't he? He was like a third down running back.
Yeah, he was a bruiser. Chris Fuamatu Ma'afala.
Oh, holy shit.
6'2", 250. He was a 98 to 02, actually, is what it looks
wow. 6'2", 250?
I'm sorry, 6 foot 250. 252.
Okay. Still, that's a fullback. What are you doing?
Yeah, I see him on here now. I figured he would be from Hawaii, and of course he is. From Honolulu, Hawaii. He was drafted in the 6th round. So yeah, he was a big bruiser. I see that. 6 foot.
He was kind of I want to say it was one of the years that Bettis's knees were banged up.
And they love those big bruiser running backs.
Why do you think they call him? It's funny. I was just watching The Office, and they're like, "Hey, how come you think they call him the bus?" Oh, because he's afraid of flying.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to see the Oklahoma drill between. Oh, you say his name. Go ahead. Between
Fuamatu Ma'afala
and Jerome Bettis. That's what you say. That Oklahoma drill has got to be nasty. I'd like to see that.
I like watching. It was like the second to last year that Bettis played for us, or played in general. And they did this little thing on him, his game day after the game routine. And he had a 2-story house, and it would show him like waking up, and he would just hobble down the stairs, and he could just barely move. And all I was thinking was, "Oh, hang on for like another year. We look like we're getting better. Don't die."
Yeah, that's crazy, especially him being a bruiser like he was. I can't, and being in that conference too. I can't imagine all the hits that guy took. And
oh man, Ray Lewis knocked him down a couple times. Hard.
Yeah, oh God,
I watched a couple of those today.
Especially going against like Bart Scott too. Shit.
So I know we're talking about players and stuff right now. I think that's perfect time to jump into our next category, which is we want to guess who your favorite player is. So, G, do you want to go first? Because I got 2 in here. And if you pick one of my guys, I'll go with the other.
I know he mentioned it beforehand, and I definitely want to say it was Tommy Maddox, the XFL group. No, I don't think it was, but I'm gonna go ahead and go with James Harrison.
James Harrison. I'm gonna go with Troy Polamalu.
So Polamalu would have to be my favorite.
Nice.
Oh, damn it!
I'm gonna have to just give the edge to Polamalu. He was always such a nice guy off the field, such a great guy and a personality, and it was he was no shenanigans on the field either. He didn't make the stupid mistakes. He didn't mess around. He didn't have the Juju Smith-Schuster dancing on the logo kind of thing either. But current player, I'd go with TJ Watt. But
of course,
overall, absolutely Polamalu. I could not get enough of that. The time where he picked off Phillip Rivers in that sort of snowy game with just the fingertips under the football. That's probably one of my favorite.
Oh, the underneath. Yeah, I remember that one.
That was wild.
Yep.
The one that I always remember is when he timed that blitz,
Oh
jumped
yeah.
over the line. I remember watching that. And I'm just
He did it twice.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
did it twice. He
and
did it to the
Titans.
Titans, and I forget who the other one was.
Ravens.
Ravens.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just remember him seeing just 43 flying through the air. And I was like, this guy does not care about his body. He just cares about winning.
How do you
like-
block it?
Yeah.
You don't.
It's
That's
funny that you
crazy.
mentioned him. He's not a Juju Smith-Schuster guy. They actually went to the same college, both USC guys. Palomalu was drafted in 2003, 16th overall. So, maybe if he had a little bit of Troy Palomalu in his life, things would have turned out a little bit different for Juju. But I think we'll get into team history, where will Juju end up a little bit later. But one thing that I did want to say about Troy Polamalu, we all know he's a Hall of Famer, 2-time Super Bowl winner, Defensive Player of the Year. But I was looking back through the Steelers stats, just their team history, and he doesn't lead the team in any one category, but he's top 10 in interceptions, pass deflections, forced fumbles, tackles, and tackles for loss. That just shows you every part of the field this guy is making plays.
He was really a jack of all trades.
Mhm.
I mean, and I would say master of some.
Mm-hmm.
Not master of none for sure, because he could hang at almost any position. And even in his later career, when we started to notice him slowing down, they actually shifted him to a more linebacker-esque role the year before he retired. And I think it was like his second or third best year statistically.
Yeah, they
Playing close to the line of scrimmage.
Yep.
Yeah, they switched him to like that Joker role, what we know now, and like pretty much what Jamal Adams plays.
Yeah, and he could still very easily drop into coverage.
Yeah, he can.
But we had some faster defensive backs and corners that we could just have split them off over there and have Polamalu eagle somebody in the backfield.
Yep.
Yeah, that's when Ryan Clark kind of came into it, right?
Yeah, he was. I think he was in there about the entire same time that Polamalu was.
Yeah.
And I also think that they kind of let him do his own thing. They knew that he was, there wasn't a play where he had to be in a certain spot. It was pretty much the play was called and you knew Polamalu would be in the right spot.
And he was smart enough to make the play. He was smart enough not to overcommit himself usually.
Yeah, they just trusted him.
No one's perfect, but
yeah, we know Polamalu, his hair flowing through the wind. He wasn't much as, he was a leader for sure, but he probably wasn't that number one vocal leader in the locker room. If Troy Polamalu was Batman, who else on that defense do you think was Robin? Maybe more of a vocal leader.
Well, I would say Ryan Clark would be the Robin there, but the vocal guy.
I have two in mind.
Well, I mean, going back, Joey Porter.
That's exactly. I got Joey Porter.
There it is.
Who, ends up being a coach for you guys later on down the line. And then another guy who I could also see just raising hell and giving a good speech is James Harrison.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, Harrison had the work ethic that he would just, he was a monster. And you've seen all the videos of him
to this
dragging
day.
the 15,000 pound sled or whatever it was across the grass. And he put in work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing that really detracted from Harrison was at the end of his career, he lost the speed. He was 38, 39 years old, but when we had him on the field, you knew it was he wasn't going to drop back into coverage.
What a diamond in the rough too, because I'm pretty sure he was undrafted, wasn't he?
Undrafted.
Oh yeah, he hopped around. I think he hit every team in the AFC North.
Yeah, definitely. And
he even hit NFL Europe.
You guys are kind of known for that. I know you guys took a guy from I'm blanking on his name, but he's from Charlotte. Hightower, I think his last name is.
Yes.
Or Highsmith or something.
Highsmith. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Dante Highsmith, maybe.
I forget who it is, but he was kind of like
Dante Hightower.
Yeah, he was kind of a smaller guy, but he definitely shows up when he can. I'm pretty sure you guys found Bud Dupree's replacement.
I'm still kind of holding out hope that if Ben retires, which it kind of doesn't look like he's going to, it really looks like they're going to stick with him.
Restructure.
I'd really like to see Dupree back because he's so good,
Mm-hmm.
so good in that middle line. And we brought in Robert Spillane, who was a part-time special teamer,
Mm-hmm.
and he at first did really, really well. And I was cautiously optimistic. I was like, okay, maybe we can hang with this. But then as the season progressed, I think he got a little dinged up to start, but then he's just smaller.
Mm-hmm.
He was getting beat. He's getting run over.
So I know you're talking about Bud Dupree right now. It seemed like he started off a little slow to start off his career. And, as the years has gone by, he's gotten a little bit better and better. And of course, when it comes time to get paid, he has his best year. But if you were to go back through the years, can you think of like the most underrated Steeler that you have in mind? And why you think one guy that I just wanted to bring up, just because I was looking through the Steelers history today, was Cordell Stewart. I mean,
The
he's not going to
Blade.
be in the top of any of these record books or anything like that. But talk about a jack of all trades like Troy Polamalu. This guy was doing it all on the offensive side of the ball.
I actually got into a discussion, I don't remember, a week or two ago about Cordell Stewart on Reddit.
Mm-hmm.
And I was saying that had he been in the league many decades earlier, call it 6 decades earlier,
Yeah.
when the NFL was far more run oriented and he had that ability to pass, he could have been a Hall of Famer, some legacy guy that we hear about and we talk about in the same breath as Johnny Unitas.
Yeah.
But had he been a little bit later, like
yeah,
circa 2005 or 6, he might not have been in the league. He might have been laughed out as a college guy like Tebow, who had a throwing mechanic that looked like a big, gigantic windmill.
Mm-hmm. Well, now you fast forward to even further on. It seems like those guys are kind of coming back. All the quarterbacks, it seems like a requirement is right now that you got to be able to extend plays. You got to be able to move out of the pocket, make throws on the run. And, Cordell Stewart, Mr. Slash, he could do it all.
He could get away like that. He could get away like Lamar, although I dare say Cordell might have a leg up on Lamar in terms of throwing ability.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
That guy actually was the one that's coming out of Colorado. I know there was the Steelers great that came out of Colorado, and I'm pretty sure that was Cordell Stewart. But I just remember they'd even line up trick plays for him.
Mm-hmm.
They'd put him at receiver, and he'd still go down there and roast the DB, and it's just like what he's doing.
He was fast.
He was.
That's actually one of the things that we struggle with right now as a team. Anytime there's a running quarterback, all I can think of is, we're going to get great penetration and he's going to get away for a 13-yard run.
Mm-hmm.
And then sure enough, it would happen. Baker Mayfield, I was dreading the fact that we'd have to play the Chiefs if we beat the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, maybe that would have been a good thing, but.
What brings me to my next question. Who has better hair, Troy or Pat?
Oh, Troy.
He's thought about it.
I have a Troy Polamalu hat hair thing in my garage still. That's my Halloween costume. I put my 43 jersey on. I put that on. Done.
Yep.
Just start flying, just laying people out.
Next year.
That's awesome.
Want to move on to favorite coach? G, you got anything else for Troy or underrated player or anything?
No, I like that whole underrated player. I definitely like how you brought that guy up for sure.
I had to.
Yeah, I love that you did that because Cordell, I mean, I remember having oversized cards. It was pretty much just looked like a pitcher. I remember I got a handful of them and I made sure to grab Cordell Stewart because I remember watching this guy play. I was like, man, this guy's a beast.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I love that. They'd be like, oh, well, hey, we're going to line you up at receiver and you're just going to go on a go route and roast everybody. Here you go.
Yeah.
So that I remember having that. So that was definitely, I love that you brought that guy up for sure. But yeah, let's move on to favorite coach. I mean, I know you guys haven't had a whole bunch of, changeover when it comes to it.
They've had three coaches the last 52 years. And I think that this is just the best coaching situation in the NFL. Maybe in NFL history. All their coaches win, and it just seems like they have that hiring process down to a T. So I mean, in the last 20 or 30 years, pretty much right now, you've only had 2 coaches. But do you have a favorite coach?
I would have to say Tomlin's my favorite.
Mhm.
I really like Tomlin. There are a lot of people who you'll talk to them and they will still to this day swear up and down a wall that Tomlin's success stemmed from Cowher's team. Say he took Bill Cowher's team to a Super Bowl, or he took them to 2 Super Bowls, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have aside from this season, I've hardly ever found anything to really fault him with. Not going for it on 4th and 1 on the Browns 40 at the beginning of the 4th quarter. That is the very first time when I called him spineless. I said, that was, you gotta, I don't even say it's emergency time yet, but the way the team had been playing to that point, I say, yeah, you go for it. And if you don't make it, you just deal with it from there. Cause it's going to feel like about the same, punting and then giving them the ball in the 20. But aside from that, I've had hardly anything to question him for.
I mean, you can't. I totally disagree with the Bill Cowher taking over. I mean, this guy's been doing it for 14 years. He has only won 1 Super Bowl, but how many people have won 0? Right. We've mentioned it before. He hasn't had a losing season. And if you even look back at like when his team struggled the most, you guys had to bring in Mason Rudolph as your quarterback before, and he still didn't have a losing season. That's very impressive.
We still went 8-8. I mean, it was really lacking on the offense, but everybody else on the offense stepped up. It felt like, that's one of the things where people are saying that if we lose Ben, we're going to kind of go into a QB purgatory. And I feel like the worst we'd have is Mason Rudolph, and maybe we wouldn't go 8-8. Or actually, now we have Dwayne Haskins. We picked him up.
Dwayne Haskins. I mean, that might be a good roll of the dice. Might hit that reset in him, and we know he is a 1st-round pick, so
can't hurt.
Yeah, I mean, and they gave up nothing for him. But
exactly,
I know me and G both have had our teams bring in backup quarterbacks, and our teams just, took a shit, bottom 5 in the league. And so when I see Mason Rudolph come in and Duck Hodges come in and these guys rotating throughout and still picking up wins, it's pretty damn impressive. And Tomlin's just one of those guys that you just know that he really knows how to manage the locker room. I mean, you see all the shit that's happened with AB since he left. You never heard any of that in Pittsburgh. He had Le'Veon Bell. Big Ben hasn't been, an angel. Plexico Burress, Harrison, Joey Porter, all these guys, these personalities that he's had to deal with. And man, the guy really knows what he's doing.
Pittsburgh's front office, they have, I trust them. I'm not crazy about Matt Canada, offensive coordinator, but he can't be worse than Randy Finkner. They hired Canada from within. Finkner was our offensive coordinator, and apparently he forgot that we could throw the ball deeper than 20 yards. Took a page from Game of Thrones there. They kind of forgot.
Yeah, the Rooney family, they've just been at the top of ownership for as long as I've been watching football.
I mean, the chief, Art Rooney, we're on Art Rooney again. It was previously Dan Rooney, and before that, it was Art Rooney in the 70s.
Yep.
And I mean, he started the team.
Yeah.
I mean, he started the team, sold the team, and then bought the team back, but still started the team.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He started the team in 33,
and
then he sold it, and I said to someone in New York that was going to try to move the team to the other side of the state. Then, if I'm not mistaken, he bought the Eagles. This is Art Rooney. Bought the Eagles and literally traded teams with this other guy, and there was something involving the current NFL president that took over in the middle there. But anyway, he ended up back with the Steelers, and they renamed them the Steelers at that point.
Literally fantasy football.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did not know that, man.
Yeah, me neither.
Fun fact Friday.
There it is.
That's awesome.
Tomlin's also one of the coaches that, I've had my fair share of coaches run through my team, and Tomlin, when I see him behind the mic, when I see him speaking to his team, it's just he always has a message. He never like wastes words. It's always like, even through the media, it seems like he's talking to the players, and it's just straightforward. It's not usually a boring answer. He doesn't just shrug it off. It's heartfelt, and I mean, you could just tell when he's in the locker room and whatever 55 men are looking at him, he's leading those guys. And I mean, that's all you could ask for in a head coach.
Yep. I like the way that Tomlin has run the team. He, like you have said, he kept all these crazy people in line, or at least in line enough to make it through a season. And with someone like Antonio Brown, someone with Le'Veon Bell, the same year, that's no small feat.
Exactly.
Yeah. One thing I was kind of trying to think about is that you guys never really bring in like high priced free agents either.
Nope.
You guys always build your team from the draft, and I always love that about Tomlin.
The biggest free agent that I can think of in a long time, not free agent, but that we traded for, was Minka Fitzpatrick.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We never, that caught me totally off guard. I was so surprised and shocked. And then he started producing like crazy. And at the time I worked with a Dolphins fan, and he was telling me, I think Fitzpatrick's better than what he's been getting pegged for. And he just took off.
Yeah. I remember his first game was against the 49ers, and he went crazy. He had a pick. Yes, he got stiff arm and everything, but man, that guy went nuts. Like, I remember him seeing flying around the field, picking off. It's not hard to pick off Jimmy G, but man, he was picking them off, batting balls down, blanketing our receivers. I'm like, damn, this guy's this kid's great.
And it was nice, but beyond him, I can't think of hardly anyone that we've picked up that's a big name free agent.
That's definitely what I was trying to think of the whole time. I was like, man, have you guys brought in or signed a high price free agent? That's why when people are saying like, oh, maybe, Stafford might come over there or Watson, I was like, that's not the Steelers' motto. No. Exactly. Like they're smart about their money and they want to give it to their team. And I just know like you guys will find somebody, whether it's in the draft or if it's like a low key free agent, like you guys will find somebody.
I think that in terms of quarterback, we're going to watch Haskins, see how he does, and possibly draft someone in the second or third-ish round as a quarterback. But I think our biggest problem right now is offensive line.
Yeah.
Honestly. I mean, Pouncey retired. And Pouncey wasn't great.
Is that official?
I think it is. I thought it was. Everybody, it's official enough that I'm pretty sure he's gone.
Okay.
Yeah.
But one of the main reasons, Ben Roethlisberger got the ball out quicker than any other quarterback this entire season. And the reason he did that was because if he didn't, he was going to die.
Yeah.
And we took almost every play. We ran it from shotgun. He ran nothing under center.
Yep.
I mean, we ran a play under center versus the Browns, and I thought, holy crap, he's running a play under center. I think I said that.
Yeah.
And then we still flunked out on it.
Poor guy. They didn't want him getting beat up even more than he has been.
Yeah.
In a little bit, we're going to get into the future expectations and draft and rebuilding that line and things like that. But moving on a little bit, just to G, do you got anything else about Tomlin first?
I don't got anything about Tomlin. I'm pretty sure we can move past your worst coach. I mean, this guy's only seen two coaches, and they've both been awesome.
You don't have a worst coach, yeah.
Yeah, you guys' coaches are both great. Let's definitely move on. Next category, Duran.
So next we want to get into is the earliest memory you have of the Pittsburgh Steelers. You might have mentioned it already, but just a couple of things that I wanted to mention is Cordell Stewart was one of my first memories of this, and linebacker Greg Lloyd. And that was just because I was collecting football cards back then. And I remember Greg Lloyd having a stack of his cards, and those are pretty valuable to me. What about you?
The defense that came together in the 90s was something fun. But I remember I was in third grade the year that we went to the Super Bowl and got humiliated by Dallas.
Yeah.
Because Neil O'Donnell went colorblind. But what was his favorite receiver? Was it Larry Brown? Played for
I'm
the
not
Cowboys.
sure.
Quarterback. He threw 2 picks to him. I think he won the Super Bowl MVP for that, intercepting Neil O'Donnell at least twice, and one of them was a pick six, I think. But I remember going to school, and they played this "Here We Go Steelers" over the intercom at school, and it had all those names. It had Kevin Green, it had Greg Lloyd, it had Johnson, who was our kicker at the time. I can't remember, and get 3 points off of Johnson's toe. I can't remember what his first name was. And then if you get something, if you give it to Bettis, he's going to knock you around. I don't remember the song precisely because it was 3rd grade.
Yeah.
But I remember they played that every day, like 2 weeks leading up to the Super Bowl. And then we laid an egg.
Yeah, that was
cool,
Super Bowl
man.
30. And you are right. I thought you were saying Pittsburgh wide receiver Larry Brown.
No.
It was the Cowboys defensive back Larry Brown. He did have 2 interceptions in that game, and Dallas ended up winning 27-17. But honestly, I was too young to remember that one. I missed all of the Cowboys heydays, so I'm praying for better futures now. One guy that I do see on here, which just brings back memories, Chris Bonial. He was a kicker for the Cowboys. He was legendary back then. And man, he was pretty active that day. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 field goals. So yeah, Steelers.
That score makes
defense.
it sound closer than it was.
I know. That's one thing I know.
Yeah.
G, can you think of our earliest memory?
I kind of mentioned it earlier with the whole Cordell Stewart thing, but yeah, I still till this day have a shoebox full of cards and a big Tupperware full of cards back at my parents' house. Shout out to mom and dad for still keeping them. But yeah, I had a big stack of Kevin Green, Rod Woodson.
Absolutely.
And, who else was it?
Break them out, man. Those things are getting value now.
I know they are, right? And I'm thinking about it. Like I know I had Rod Woodson, I had Kevin Green, and then I can't think who else I had, but we grew up in a cousin. He was a big Pittsburgh fan, so whenever we got cards, I always kept them to make them like jealous and whatnot, and didn't know that they're gonna turn into what they are now, and I'm glad I kept them.
One of my favorite, not a big name player from the 90s, but he kind of always stuck with me, was Yancey Thigpen.
Oh my God, yeah.
And I forget what jersey number he wore.
82.
But in my head, it was always 86. And actually, when I played football, that was actually the number I took because I liked Yancey Thigpen.
That's hilarious.
Yancey Thigpen, good old Yancey. Good old Dirk.
Yeah, Yancey Thigpen, he was with you guys for looks like about 5 years, 6 years.
Sounds right. I think he
6 years here, and he had a 1,300-yard seasons. And as we all know, back in those were 1993, 95. They weren't running or they weren't passing as much as they do now. So those are pretty damn impressive numbers. And the touchdown totals were a little bit lower, 7 and 5, but Yancey was definitely doing his thing. So I could see that just being influence to picking your number as a kid. We both had the same thing, picking our numbers after our favorite players.
I was a wide receiver. I wasn't fast, but I was a wide receiver. Actually, I was a wide receiver, and then I was center when our center didn't make weight.
It's so funny how that works out.
Yeah, I got mauled a couple times.
Yep. Now moving on just a little bit more, we got your first memory. What's your favorite memory? I mean, you guys have won a couple Super Bowls, in the last 15 years or so. One versus the Seahawks, one versus the Cardinals. Do you have anything else? Maybe just a classic game, classic play, a game you attended, just a favorite memory throughout the years?
I've got to say that it's not a specific point, but Bettis getting the Super Bowl win. That was huge. From Bettis getting the Super Bowl win in Detroit, that was enormous.
Yeah, in his hometown, that was awesome.
But if I'm going to pick a play, one specific play, it's absolutely James Harrison's Super Bowl interception.
Of course.
And I don't know how you can argue much against that. I mean, I know I mentioned earlier the Polamalu interception where he just kind of scraped that ball off the ground somehow. But I argue to this day that Harrison should have been the Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah.
Over Santonio Holmes. That was a 14-point play.
Yeah, that they were right on the goal line. That really switched, the outcome of the game. It was right before halftime. And it's funny that you mentioned this because not our last episode, the episode before that, we actually interviewed a Cardinals fan, and that was his worst memory. So
Yeah.
it was the James Harrison and Santonio Holmes toe tap to win. That was both just a classic game. I thought that game was over when Larry Fitzgerald, as we mentioned before, took that slant, beat Troy Polamalu right up the middle of the field for a touchdown. I thought it was game over, but as we mentioned in the last one too, with these Hall of Fame quarterbacks, man, you can never count them out. And here we go, Big Ben marching down the field, Santonio Holmes toe tapping in the corner of that end zone, just classic. You'll never forget that.
I watch that whole thing every now and again, the last drive every now and again, just every couple of months. I just watch that. It's on YouTube. You can find it. It's great.
Yeah.
Give me a little motivation, little good mood.
Yeah. One of my favorite Santonio Holmes story, during the time that the Steelers were down here for the Super Bowl in 2008, the Super Bowl was in Tampa.
Yeah.
And the Cardinals used the Buccaneers facility as their training grounds. The Steelers used USF. At the time, I was a student at USF.
Nice.
And so I went and skipped several classes and waited out in the rain for 3 hours to get a couple autographs. I scored Heath Miller, Ryan Clark. There was one more, but I don't remember who that was. But I was standing out there, and there was this guy standing beside me. He looked like he could have been an NFL player. I'm pretty sure he wasn't, but he was, if he wasn't 6'6", he was like 6'8", 300 something pounds. He was a huge, enormous guy that was from Pittsburgh. So I started talking to him because that's what we do. And come to find out his favorite player is Holmes. I was like, oh, cool. All right. And so we get to see the Steelers start coming out of the facility, and everybody's getting excited. Polamalu comes out, and the man has an ice bag strapped to both calves.
Oof.
And so there's just this audible, and he like hobbles over to the golf cart. And then Heath Miller came out, Ryan Clark, a couple people signed autographs. And this guy was stone-faced, just kind of stood there. And then Santonio Holmes walks out of the facility. He loses it. He is jumping and shaking the ground and screaming at the top of his lungs, San Antonio Holmes, San Antonio Holmes. And I am standing there like 1,000 decibels quieter going, that's a city in tech. You know what?
Yeah.
That's fine. You do you. And I will never forget that as long as I lived. He was so happy to see Santonio Holmes. Holmes didn't sign autographs, but he came over, said hi, shook a few hands, and then bolted.
Yeah. That's hilarious. You're like, I don't know this guy. I don't think I've had the opportunity to meet the person that I love the most, but I don't think I would act like that.
It was something to see, because I'm not kidding you. The guy could have been a lineman. I mean, he could have been one of the bookend tackles for all.
Yeah.
Maybe he was. Maybe I was on a hidden camera somewhere.
Yeah.
He's like, what would you do? I'm going to pronounce this guy's name wrong. Are you going to correct me?
Yeah.
Is he a true fan? That's hilarious. When the other Super Bowl that I wanted to bring up was 2005 versus Seattle. I think it was Big Ben's second year. Is that right?
Yep. That is correct.
Year. He actually didn't play that well in that game. I do remember, I think he made the tackle. He threw an interception, but made a tackle. Was that Super Bowl?
That was the playoff run.
Oh, okay.
No, it was the divisional round.
Okay.
Divisional round. It was
against the Colts,
we played the Colts in the divisional round, and
okay.
Jerome Bettis fumbled. So we had the lead up to it was Peyton Manning was having a typical Peyton Manning playoff game.
Yeah.
And he sucked. And they turned the ball over on our like 6 or 4 yard line. and we could have just kneed the ball 3 times. But for some reason, they wanted, and it would have been close. They would have had like 5 or 10 seconds left to play with it. But they wanted to give the ball to Bettis and have him punch it in. So they gave it to Bettis, and someone punched it out, out, just helmet right on the ball, knocked the ball flying back. I don't remember who the dude was that picked it up, but he had been in a domestic dispute with his girlfriend or wife, and she had stabbed him in the leg.
Oh, shit.
And so you will hear Colts fans nonstop say, if it wasn't for so-and-so's wife, he would have gotten away from Ben.
Yeah.
But that was that was the play you're thinking of. It was the divisional round versus the Colts. And if Ben doesn't make that tackle, we don't win that Super Bowl.
Exactly. Yeah. I remember that. It was like he was almost falling over, but somehow he made the shoelace tackle. And I did not know the background on that one. I assumed it was this Super Bowl just because Big Ben, 2 interceptions, no touchdowns.
Oh, Ben plays terrible in the Super Bowl that we've been in.
And it was Jerome Bettis and Willie Parker game. Those are the 2 guys that pretty much won it. They rushed their asses off. But
Parker had a 74-yard touchdown.
What was that?
Parker had a 74-yard touchdown.
And that's kind of like what I was about to say is it's funny how, you guys were going through these bruising running backs, Jerome Bettis, and then all of a sudden you switch to Willie Parker, who great player, but a completely different style of running back than, you think of the Steelers having, which Willie Parker, there's guys in the NFL that they were great in their, in their little section of time, and you kind of forget about him. Willie Parker was one of those guys. I see him today up here, and I'm like, wow, Willie Parker was a beast, and he did his thing while he had the opportunity.
Yeah, I had my producer look that up, and it was actually Nick Harper.
Nick Harper, yes.
Nick Harper got the fumble recovery. It was actually a fumble like at the 1 yard line.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, he just punched it out, and it was just a sloppy dive by Big Ben, but he grabbed his right ankle.
I'm not kidding you.
He stopped him.
There was a fireman in a bar in Pittsburgh who had a heart attack when that play happened. Might have been a reserve fireman. So there was a dude you can look up. There's an article. He released a statement from the hospital.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
God.
I mean, I had a heart attack, but I didn't end up hospitalized for it.
Well, as we all know, it's not every year you're not in the Super Bowl, and you do have your down years. Do you have a worst memory being a Steelers fan?
Let me open up a beer for this one.
It's not I don't think it was a bad season, but I've got to say that my very worst memory is probably that time that Tomlin pulled that little stunt where he was on the sideline and Jacoby Jones was running it back, because the guy that caught Jacoby Jones was going to catch him either way. He had a little bit of an angle and he was running quicker, but he had him. And and like I said, I am a big Tomlin supporter. I love Bill Cowher. I will never forget the chin. There was a play years ago where Cowher looked at somebody across the field and they just tripped. And I remember being in like 5th grade or something. Everybody said he tripped him with his chin. That's how he did it. He used the chin. And I love Bill Cowher. And I think Tomlin's probably got better longevity and is going to do better things ultimately. But that is, aside from that 4th and 1 play, the biggest blemish on his record. And I hated that. I would have hated if we would have won that game. And that's the only scenario that I can ever think of where I'd say that.
Yeah, I completely forgot about. I'm watching the play right now.
It's hard to watch, isn't it?
It really is, because that's totally not a Tomlin thing. Yeah. But but I mean, if you could save your team and all it is a penalty, I mean, oh man, that's a tough one. That's a really tough one. I see it, Jacoby Jones right now taking it up the left side of the field, and Tomlin just has his back turned, but you could kind of tell he's looking at the screen.
Kinda.
And
blatantly looking at the screen.
Yep. Oh man, that's funny. I completely forgot about that.
But about that.
That just does not seem like a Tomlin move to me. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt on that one. Maybe he wasn't looking at the screen.
Yeah. It just, I mean, and if nothing else, you have to know how that's going to look if something like that
Yeah,
happens.
of course.
Move 4 feet over.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that was I'm so glad you brought that up because I completely forgot about it. You guys we mentioned it a little bit before. You guys do have the Super Bowl loss 2011 to the Packers. That was Aaron Rodgers versus Big Ben. Big Ben didn't do as well as Aaron Rodgers in that one. Jordy Nelson went off 140 yards and a touchdown. I mean, most people bring up a Super Bowl loss as probably being their worst memory, but that one I do remember definitely seeing that game. Do you have any notes or remember anything specific about that game?
Honestly, I don't really remember any one event from that game.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
jokingly said that if I actually kind of liked the Packers.
Mm-hmm.
I'd said if I was a big Brett Favre fan, I mean, who wasn't outside of the NFC North?
Yeah.
At least a little bit. And he's a gunslinger. He's fun to watch. And Aaron Rodgers wasn't the same player, but was still fun to watch. And I said if there were two teams that were going to beat Pittsburgh in a Super Bowl, we lived in Tampa at that point. I said I'd like to see the Bucs do it or the Packers.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't that hard. So if I was going to pick a Super Bowl loss, though, it would be the Cowboys one that I hated a whole lot more. That hurt.
That's the one I don't remember. G, do you got anything else in this category? There is one thing that I did want to bring up in it.
Go ahead and bring it up, man.
Got it. And it's the Ryan Shazier injury.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a brutal one. I mean, Ryan Shazier, he was one of, at that time, he was one of the most just well-rounded and complete linebackers during that time. And, talking about team records, if he would have stayed healthy, he could have finished out his year. I mean, or his career, who knows where he'd be ranked with those, Hall of Fame Steelers defensive players and stuff. But, he was pretty much impossible to replace. I know you guys got a young stud there now, but do you remember when that exactly happened? And, I know that's a tough one, but
I absolutely do. I was watching that game and I saw it, and the way that he rolled over, because he got hit and he fell forward and he was laying on his front, and then he rolled over and his feet just flopped.
They wouldn't
and
move.
I looked at my wife and I said, "That's bad."
Yeah.
I don't know what that is, but that's bad.
Yep.
And it really, really is a shame because he was such a stellar player, and he did get to play a little bit with TJ Watt, if I'm not mistaken.
He did, yeah.
But TJ Watt hadn't really taken off yet, but Shazier had.
Exactly. Yep.
Speaking of bad NFL memories, I remember I was going to mention the biannual thrashing that we received from the Patriots. Didn't matter what year it was. They always seemed to have our number, and that was because we insisted on playing zone defense against Tom Brady.
Just picked you apart.
He did every time. We forgot to cover Gronkowski once, but Tom Brady was howling at everybody to get set because there was no one covering Gronkowski, and he just kept going like this and looking over at him. Yeah. And it was an easy touchdown. But segueing back to the Ryan Shazier thing, there was a Pittsburgh beat writer talking about Gronkowski, and they were saying it's really a shame that he's hurt for this because of the people that could cover Rob Gronkowski,
Shazier,
he was probably one of them.
I
mean, they call Gronk a polar bear with good hands, and I think Shazier had the size and the speed to go up with him and stay with him, and that was harsh.
Yeah, that was a brutal one. Now you guys, I know he didn't finish out this year, but you got Devin Bush. He's pretty much taken over that main linebacker spot there, and hopefully he comes back 100%. He was a guy that, I loved watching coming out of Michigan and stuff. So I think you guys are back on track at that position, but it definitely took a couple years to kind of overcome that.
Yeah, Bush and Dupree, I think they really have things battened down. It's probably a bit of a pipe dream, but I'd love to see Dupree back next year.
Yeah. Well, let's move on a little bit. Let's get to the future expectations. I as far as the draft goes, you guys are picking number 24. You guys do have 3 top 100 picks. You guys have a first round pick this year. So last year it was the Minka trade, so you didn't have. So welcome back. Let's see. I know you mentioned a little bit earlier that you kind of want to go in this maybe O-line direction. Maybe late round quarterback. Who knows where your quarterback is? He's 38 years old. He hasn't restructured that contract yet. He's at about 41 million this year. So is there any one direction you could see you guys going in this draft?
I think that I expect us to take more than one offensive lineman. I think our first round pick is going to be an offensive lineman. I think it might be our new center.
Yeah.
Nice.
Maybe a little known Steelers fact is that we have good centers.
Mm-hmm.
We have had good centers and will always have good centers. And I am ashamed that our center during the heyday in the 70s is eluding me. I cannot remember his name to save my life. He's passed away. But after him, we had Darmonte Dawson, who was 12 or 15 years in the league. And he was just fantastic. Mike Webster. Sorry, that was going to kill me if I could not remember that. That was going to kill me.
Yep.
Mike Webster was actually one of the. Sorry, I'm getting a little tangent. Mike Webster was one of the first people that was linked to CTE.
Oh, okay.
I don't believe they had an autopsy on him, but his mental state declined heavily after he left the league, and I think he ended up living in his car. It was a Hall of Fame NFL player who died homeless.
4-time Super Bowl winner.
Yeah, he was it was that whole big thing about him. I think Nick Nolte played him in that Will Smith movie about the concussions. Like he was like huffing paint or something, trying to like clear the fogginess out of his head.
Numb the pain.
Yeah. And I remember that was a big one that kind of opened it up. They didn't do an autopsy on him, like you said, but it kind of opened the books. I was like, we got to check in with these players when it comes to CTE, and we can go on a whole new episode about that. But yeah, man, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, but what I was originally talking about before I distracted myself, the Steelers have really good centers and have for a very long time. We had Mike Webster, we had Darmonte Dawson, and in the between Darmonte Dawson and Marquise Pouncey, we had a few, but we also had Jeff Hardings. And I don't think Jeff Harding's in the Hall of Fame, but Darmonte Dawson for sure is in the Hall of Fame. And Marquise Pouncey, I believe, will also be in the Hall of Fame. But we've always had really good centers. And so I expect us to look at Marquise Pouncey's replacement. I thought for sure Pouncey's retirement was official, but if it's not, I imagine he won't make it another year or two. I mean, the clips of Ben and Pouncey sitting on the sideline where Ben saying, "I'm sorry, we didn't win it for you."
Yeah.
Heavily implied that.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing that you guys always draft on as well that I always love is receivers. You know what I mean? Like you guys had Anton Randall, you guys had Hines Ward, but was still one of my favorite players till this time. I mean, his crackback blocks were nasty. Mike Wallace, Antonio Jones, Emmanuel Sanders, James Washington, Deontay Johnson. Now, with Juju Smith's contract being up, do you have a receiver in your future that you're looking at, or do you want to, as far as the draft goes, or do you want to re-sign Juju?
I want to re-sign Juju, and I think they're going to re-sign Juju.
Okay.
I think he is worth the investment. I think he's not going to garner a deal that's going to break us cap-wise. I mean, speaking of future and Ben's cap, that $41 million hit is not sustainable. And he's already spoken with the front office and said that he's willing to restructure. And so if he's going to play next year, he's going to restructure.
Yeah.
There's just we can't take the $41 million hit and keep the people he needs to produce.
Yeah. Another guy that's up is James Conner. It's kind of towards the end. I mean, that guy can't stay healthy. I love his story. I love the battle that he's gone through as far as cancer goes and whatnot. But James Conner is up. I mean, is it Benny Snell's time? Like, what do you think? Do you guys want to draft another guy, find another undrafted free agent?
think we're going to have to draft if we're looking at running back. I actually kind of think Connor is going to be back next year too. I think the person we're going to lose is going to be Bud Dupree.
Okay.
I mean, you've got Bud Dupree, James Conner, and Juju, and I don't see any way unless Ben retires that we get all three of those.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we have the ability to get two with Ben being restructured, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But if we do that, I think it'll be Juju and Connor, and I think we'll lose Bud Dupree. But I think Connor is worth keeping around because he's good enough.
Mm-hmm.
We have to have that offensive line that can block for him.
Yeah.
Because that's what, honestly, in my opinion, Le'Veon Bell is a fantastic running back. But the thing that got him famous was that we had a killer offensive line those years.
Yeah.
That was Pouncey's heyday, Alejandro Villanueva's heyday, David DeCastro. We had a backup center named Doug Legursky, who was just fantastic to fill in here and there when we needed him.
Speaking of those big three, Villanueva, Pouncey, DeCastro, all those guys are over 30 years old. Matt Feeler, Zach Banner, both of those guys are free agents coming up. So a lot of resources are going to have to go into that offensive line. I know you said you think that Juju Smith-Schuster and Connor have the chance to come back. I kind of feel like the Steelers aren't really known to break the bank when it comes to players. And, you've seen plenty of wide receivers leave and get paid. I kind of feel like Juju is the type of guy that is going to go for the big paycheck or something like that. We'll see about Connor. I could see Connor coming back more than Juju to me on that end.
Juju's a little bit of a wild card because he does kind of seem like that, but he has indicated that he wants to come back. He's indicated he's stated at least that he wants to be a Steeler for life.
Yeah.
And he said that before this season, and he said it before last season, and he's actually said it after this season. So he said it a lot. Whether that actually means it's going to happen or not is a completely different animal.
Would you be against letting Juju walk, coming into next season with Claypool, Deontay Johnson, James Washington, and then drafting, because Juju mainly plays a slot receiver, because you could probably get that guy, in the third, fourth round type of thing?
I would not be against it, but my concerns are that Deontay Johnson forgot how to catch footballs at one point in time at the end of this season. Yeah. And if you're a wide receiver, that's actually fairly important.
Very.
And him and Eric Ebron, but we're not there right now.
Yeah.
But Chase Claypool, oh man, did he look electric to start this season, but then they stopped throwing it to him. And he had that Martavis Bryant look. Big, fast guy.
Oh yeah. Gunning
it down the field. But they weren't throwing it to him. And I don't know if that was Randy Finkner or if that was I don't know if it was our offensive line not giving Ben the time for him to get open, or if it was that Ben couldn't throw it. One of my major concerns was that Ben couldn't throw that far.
Yeah.
I know you guys talked about Big Ben. One thing I got to warn you, because I get text messages all the time from friends about mock drafts and whatnot. Like, hey, like, have you done mock drafts? Like, because they're fun to do. Any fans are, and they're some of them are fun to look at, some of them aren't. And I was doing one, and then my friend's like, hey, I was thinking about giving Kyle Trask to the Steelers. What do you think? I was like, they already have Kyle Trask on their team. It's Mason Rudolph. So I just got to say that I've seen that, and I looked it up, and I was like looking it up right now. They have a bunch of drafts where they're like, oh, we'll give you guys Mac Jones, or we'll give you guys, Kyle Trask. I think they're a similar player because they both have slow feet. Yeah, they produce in college, but at the same time, it's like they have slow feet. It's quicksand. I mean, I hate to say it, but I think Big Ben's movement in his walking boot is better than Mason Rudolph's.
But Ben's not fast. He's
no,
obviously, but he's a bear. He's 240 pounds. He's 6'5". He's I couldn't tackle him.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny seeing all these DBs trying to bring him down. He's like, wait, hang on. You can hang on to my hip, but I'm still trying to look for an open receiver. There he is. All right. Now I'm going to go down. It's like
he stiff-armed Terrell Suggs.
Yeah.
There's a play where Ben is getting sacked and he just puts the hand out, holds him down, and throws the ball away. And he got taken down, of course, because it's Terrell Suggs.
Yeah.
But
How many quarterbacks could say that?
Exactly. I mean, they're few and far between.
Yep.
And that makes up for the fact that he is the Statue of Liberty.
Yep.
The Statue of Liberty on little rollers that make it go sideways.
Yep. Now we did go over a lot of these offensive players that are coming up on contracts and stuff, but you do got the stack on defense. We talked about Bud Dupree, but outside Bud Dupree, Avery Williamson, Mike Hilton, Cam Sutton, Sean Davis, Chris Wormley. That's the short list. 3 of those guys are in the secondary. Would you consider bringing any of those guys back?
Mike Hilton, all day long, every day. Mike Hilton, the last few years, anytime I heard his name, it was either mediocre or just a little bit below. And then this year, he took off. I think I saw him get beat once. He was in the play. He was in plays like Minkah Fitzpatrick. I mean, maybe not quite the same level, but he really came alive this season. And I heard his name in a negative tone not one time.
Yep.
And I want to see him back for sure.
Good choice. G, I got one more after this. You have anything else about free agents, the draft, anything like that?
Are you going to be watching the Senior Bowl tomorrow, or have you kept up with it at all?
I haven't kept up too much with it. I actually didn't know it was tomorrow, to be honest with you. Maybe I will now.
Well, one thing I do got to say is that they have a ton of options in the Senior Bowl right now of slot receivers. And I mean, I highly recommend you looking at some of those. I mean, you can find it on YouTube. You don't have to go back and like follow back all like even the Senior Bowl game, because the NFL scouts are gone at that point. Yeah. So I highly recommend watching some of the receivers out there, and I think it'll change your mind when it comes to Juju coming back, or even, upgrading that receiver room. I know the best 50-50 ball catcher on your team is James Washington, possibly in the league. I mean, you can throw that up and that guy will catch anything. Yeah. But definitely some solid receivers. And one thing I know when it comes to it, I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody knows at this point, is that you guys can draft great receivers.
Oh, we can.
It's just, I love to see it. I remember at one point you guys had Emmanuel Sanders, Mike Wallace, and I think it was Antonio.
Yeah, it was, and that was the year that we lost to the Packers.
Yeah, but still, man. I mean, I know I'm going on a tangent because I myself as well, like you, played receiver, but so I always love watching them. Their releases, their routes, and how their hands are. And yes, I had Deontay Johnson on my fantasy football team. It's like, dude, catch the ball, come on. But
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I gotta call that guy, damn it. But yeah, man.
It's hard to let go of Juju, and the reason I say that is that his second year in the league, he had 1,400 receiving yards.
Yeah.
And I know that was sitting across the field from Antonio Brown.
Exactly.
And you have, your day and age's Jerry Rice pulling double, triple coverage. Mm-hmm. Of course, you're gonna get single man coverage, and he's not a little dude. You're gonna be able to beat him.
Yep.
Yeah. Absolutely, it's gonna lead to that. But it's hard to look at that and say, I bet we could draft somebody.
Mm-hmm. Two guys in the Senior Bowl that I've just been seeing a lot of footage and stuff on that I think could possibly, dominate in that wide receiver 3. Kadarius Toney and Armani Rogers. Both of those guys, I know G's been seeing some of their tape and stuff coming out lately, and just their practice footage and things like that. But it seems like both of those guys, they're around 6 foot, and if they're a wide receiver 3, go ahead, G.
One guy that I think you guys will like, he's coming out of Central Michigan, is Dwayne Eskridge. And it's going against, what I like, because I've been talking to my boy Vic about it. I love this guy. This guy's a beast, great slot receiver, fast. He runs a 4.3. He has good height. But yeah, Kadarius Toney and Amari Rodgers, like Duran was saying, are beasts. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I had to throw my 2 cents in there about my guy. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just throwing out some of these slot guys I have here. Dwayne Eskridge right now. That one about 5'9", 190. So he's a little bit smaller than Juju would be. One thing that makes me feel really old is he was born in 1997. But there's a ton. I feel like wide receivers are just, especially this day and age when colleges are running 3-4 wide receivers at a time, they're kind of dime a dozen. And I'm pretty sure every year, number one and number two of the most populated positions are DBs and wide receivers. So I always think that you should, especially the way you guys draft wide receivers, I think you guys would be more than fine letting Juju go, get paid somewhere, and picking up another one of these stars.
If I had to pick between Juju and someone like Mike Hilton or Bud Dupree,
yeah,
I would pick defense because
Okay.
I trust I trust our defense better that way.
Yep.
Aside from all the TikTok garbage, I really like Juju.
Yeah,
He was good.
I feel
But
you.
if he is that readily replaceable, then I'm really open to it. I would rather keep those other two guys.
Yep.
And I could see saying goodbye to James Conner as well.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Benny Snell is the answer. I
Yep.
don't think he's quite got it. But I
Yeah.
think you could pick someone up in the third-ish round
Yeah.
that might.
Even look at these free agents. I think a running back would be more than happy to come and play for the Steelers. He just knows that he's going to
wholeheartedly
get work. He's going to get work. They're not going to, they're going to want to pound the ball and do the stuff that the Steelers do.
You guys might surprise us and pick like Najee Harris in the first round.
Hey,
So unfair. But like if you got, like I know Duran, you said I felt old when the guy was born in 1997.
yeah,
I feel old right now. And I hate to do this to all of us because we're all in our early 30s.
yeah,
But okay. Trey Lance, born in 2000, bro.
yeah,
So like
crazy.
I'm sitting here drinking a beer and he can't even
He
do
can't.
Yeah,
Well, that's what Juju started at that rate.
Yeah, he
couldn't
did. He was the
drink.
youngest
He
player.
wasn't 21 yet.
yeah, he's the
that.
youngest
I mean,
player
when
in
it
that
comes
draft.
to Juju, I mean, I love what he does in the community. Like he gets in touch with the youth as far as like, let's stream on Twitch. Like I'm going to be playing some,
Let's
some
play
video-
Fortnite.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play Fortnite and whatnot, and like he like benefits and like he gives back to a charity, and whatnot. I think that's so awesome. But at the same time, it's like hone it back a little bit because like you are like an ambassador to the youth, and like you're somebody's like, you're somebody's hero. But at the same time, like you want to dance on somebody's logo and like
Right.
kind of mock on somebody. It's like, yeah, the Browns are the Browns, and
Don't burn bridges. Why burn
Exactly.
bridges?
Yeah.
exactly.
I mean, you don't need to make these enemies. That's actually one of my big approaches on life. Why would you do
Yeah.
that? Why would you alienate yourself?
And
Exactly.
Baker
I mean,
took a page out of MJ's book. He said, "I took it personal."
Yeah.
Straight just killed him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Well, the last section that I usually get to is about coaching and ownership. You guys are killing it in both of these sections. So you're not moving on
congratulations.
from Tomlin. Your owners are, stand-up guys. Is there maybe, I know you mentioned Finkner a couple times. Is there any changes you'd like to make on that side of the team?
well, they fired Randy Finkner, so they
Oh,
made
okay.
the change I wanted to make.
Oh, so who's up next?
Matt Canada.
Okay.
He was the quarterbacks coach. Randy Finkner was the quarterbacks coach with Ben under Todd Haley.
Mm-hmm.
And Todd Haley actually took over after Bruce Arians left.
Oh, yeah.
He
Yep.
did very well at keeping Ben alive.
Mm-hmm.
He had a fantastic playbook, but somehow when he dropped it, it always got stuck open on bubble screen. And I can
I like how
hardly
you put
say
that.
that without
Yeah.
raising my blood pressure, because 3rd and 10,
Oh, yeah.
you knew what we were going to run every time.
Yeah.
Nobody was surprised by it. And we'd line up by it and they'd be like, it's a fake. It's a fake. I'm like, it's not a fake. We sold that so hard that we did it.
Yeah.
But the one thing he did was he kept Ben alive, which is what Bruce Arians didn't. Ben's sack numbers dropped into the 20s from 40s. And Finkner was the QB coach under that. So he used a lot of the same playbook, except you just replace bubble screen with jet sweep.
Yep.
And now we've got the same problem. And I really wanted them to hire someone from outside of the team.
Uh-huh.
Um,
I agree. I kind of wish they would have too.
and along the same vein, when our offensive line was really good, we had Mike Munchak running things. That was the glue that was keeping everything together, and we lost him a few years back. I don't remember. I think he went to be a coordinator somewhere.
Yeah.
But I forget off the top of my head. And so now we're kind of struggling at offensive line. And so I see that it stems from the top down, but we're losing these crucial position coaches that are getting promoted to other places. And that's actually what really hurt us this year, I think.
Yeah, I would have loved to see you guys reach outside of the organization and kind of bring in maybe a younger offensive mind because, just working under Tomlin, I think he would kind of, he would hold final say, of course, but, it'd be just a nice place for a young guy with a fresh mind to kind of mold and do his own thing. So
the play that got Todd Haley fired a few years back was when we were playing the Patriots and Jesse James, that was a catch, caught that ball in the end zone and got knocked out. If that was this year, that's called a catch.
Yeah.
But during that whole time, they had this 5-minute long review and time was running down in the game. And Tomlin looked at Todd Haley and said, call 2 plays. And he called 1.
Oh.
And then after we ran that 1 play and didn't have anything, Ben had to improvise.
Oh, shit.
So
yeah.
he snapped the ball and threw a pick.
Yeah.
And that's what happened.
What I found.
Yeah. That's tough. That's a tough one. Well, John, I think that's about it for us. G, got anything else?
No, but man, I'm looking at Matt Canada, and I really hope that he does good because I'm going back to his coaching career. He was a grad assistant from 94 to 96. He spent 1 year with Butler, spent 2 years with Northern Illinois, but I'm going down it, and it felt like it was just like 1 year stays with everywhere he went.
He's been with us for a couple of years, I thought, right?
Well, he was with you guys last year as your guys' quarterbacks coach, like you were saying. But the year before that, I mean, he wasn't anywhere in 2019. In 2008,
you're right.
In 2018, he was the interim Maryland's head coach, and he went for that, and he didn't get it. So I'm really hoping, because Steelers, I mean, if the Steelers are bad, you know that the NFL is bad. But one guy that you guys were rumored to want to bring in, and I'm glad you guys didn't, was the 49ers games, the 49ers run game coordinator, Mike McDaniel. And they said, oh man, I'd love to bring this guy in to kind of hammer down the run game. And that feared me, man, because like I'm a big fan of Mike McDaniel. I was a big fan of the LaFleur brothers as well. And big congrats and on their success and where they're going on now. But yeah, I was like, damn, you guys are gonna get Mike McDaniel. That's gonna be so shitty for us, but awesome for Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
Glad you guys didn't, and you guys promoted within like you guys always do. But I'm kind of wondering, like, you guys do that with the draft. I wonder, like, maybe it's time to do that with your guys' coaching staff as well.
We did it with defense. We had Dick LeBeau for 500,000 years as our defensive coordinator, and he did fantastic. But he ran into a little bit of a wall when the league changed from you can hit wide receivers to you can't really hit wide receivers. I actually think Troy Polamalu would probably struggle a little bit now. I think he would struggle for a season, and I think he would adjust to it because I hold him on that high of a pedestal. But Dick LeBeau had those big bruising guys, and they'd hit and we'd, cause a fumble, but, we're leading with the crown of the helmet, so it's a penalty. So it would all come back. And we had 2 bad years like that. And I think it was a mutual, I'm not coming back. And they said, good, don't. And they picked up Dave Butler.
Yeah.
For the first couple seasons with him, it looked like it was just going to be hell on earth. And then everything just gelled. And so now we have the defense that you're seeing with TJ Watt and with Cameron Hayward, where we have people in the backfield every play.
Big fan of Cameron Hayward. I love that he wears the iron head on it. And I know that he got fined for it a couple times. And I don't care. He's paying homage to his dad. I think that's awesome. And, That's always like a soft spot in my heart, man, because like you're always your first hero.
Mhm.
But yeah, when it comes to like you can't hit the receivers, I think all of us being fans of legendary teams, Durant of the Cowboys, you obviously, as the Steelers, and myself with the San Francisco 49ers, like off the top of my head, I mean, Troy Polamalu, Roy Williams, Dante Whitner, like those guys are all be kicked out of the league right now.
Right. Ed Reed.
Ed Reed, you know what I mean? Like, Jesus.
Yeah.
Man, that wraps it up for me, man. Stay after just a little bit. I know we take a lot of your time and much appreciated, man. Thank you so much for that. But stay after off air for a little bit if you can. That's it on my end. Randy, you got anything?
Oh, that's it, man. Thanks, John. I think this is back to back our longest episode. So you obviously love your Steelers. You know your shit. And thanks for just joining us. And of course, you could follow along with the NFL subreddit with the link below. I'll have all that information. Go along, join the chat, join the debate, and yeah, enjoy the Super Bowl, everyone.
Enjoy the Super Bowl, man. Again, we'll put all the links below. Like we always say, win or lose, we're all fans. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys.